What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Simply Walk the Talk. I am your host, Joshua J. Holland, and today we have a very special show. The guest and I have been planning a retreat. And so if you've been following my social media, you may have noticed that I've posted some content, sort of the first bit of content that's coming out. We decided to hop on today's show to talk you all through that. Today's guest is a former client of mine. Her name is Marie Gevers. She has been passionate about health and wellness, mental health, physical well-being for as long as I've known her, for sure. She studied psychology and nutrition during her time in New York at NYU, which is where her and I first met. And while she was at school learning about the human mind and body, she found it quite hard to manage the many stresses that came with living in a big city. This led her to begin her own wellness journey by working with many renowned nutritionists, coaches, and spiritual leaders. Marie first arrived to Turks and Caicos by sailboat with her family 16 years ago. Since then, she has been going back every year and has been living there permanently for over 3 years. Due to her intimate knowledge of the island, Marie is in a great position to show you all of the magic the islands have to offer. Welcome to Simply Walk the Talk. Our bodies and minds adapt to what we do most of the time. If you want to change your body and mind, you must change what it is you do most of the time. This podcast explores all things health, wellness, fitness, lifestyle, and biohacking. Stay tuned as we explore various thoughts, methods, and experiences from a multitude of conversations between our interesting guests and experts through many fields of work. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Simply walk the talk. Simply walk the talk. Marie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Josh. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. And here for you is in Turks and Caicos, right?
That's right. So I am. That's why I'm in my bathing suit right now.
Yeah, and you definitely have that island vibe that I'm craving right now because I did actually have a chance to go and visit you, and you were kind enough to host me at your place. So I know that place you're in right now quite well. And the magic of Turks and Caicos is just tremendous. I'm actually calling in from Prague, Czech Republic right now. And I'm still in the midst of this tour with Roger Waters, and we will be wrapping up very soon. And part of the reason why I'm excited to be wrapping up is because we have a project to do.
Right? That's right.
Yeah. So I figured we would maybe start by talking about how you and I first met. And then maybe we go back even further and talk about your background, like how you got to where you are today. But let's talk about how we first met. Do you remember when and where and how that all happened?
Yes. So I think I'd already been living in New York a couple years, and I'd been seeing Dr. Passler, who was my nutritionist at the time, and become a good friend of mine. I first started to see Dr. Passler because I wasn't feeling so great having moved to New York. I felt like I started to gain weight, that my skin was having issues, that my energy levels were down. And so he really helped me with my nutrition and with my supplements and all of that. And you happened to start working with Dr. Passler and do the fitness side in his office. And so that's how we started working together, training together. And just always asked you so many questions during our training sessions. And you invited me to do a breathwork workshop, I remember, which was really fun. And but then we were interrupted by the pandemic, like our work together. And I actually came down to Turks with my family to do the lockdown here and never left. And when I came back to New York to visit, I reached out to you to see if you wanted to grab coffee or something and catch up. And there we go.
Yeah, I distinctly remember that. And it was it was really cool that we were able to, I say we, my company, System Fit. I was really happy that we were able to start working with Dr. Passler because I've known Dr. Passler for many years. Like I knew him when he was at his other facility,
Mhm.
and it was kind of a match made in heaven when
Mhm.
we blended our forces because he was taking care of a lot of high profile people like yourself. and and we had I had sent some of my clients to him in the past, like some of my model clients, so we had already had like a shared working relationship anyway. But
Right.
then we sort of decided to, when my company moved out of Midtown, because we were in Midtown in a facility that was way too big for us,
Mhm.
and we were paying way too much money. There were so many issues, and we finally decided to go down to Flatiron where Dr. Passler's office was, and he had all this cool equipment that I knew a lot about already. And then we put our heads together, and I start telling him about all these other devices, and so he starts ordering up all these things, and next thing you know, we were just cranking it out. We had so many clients, and he was so generous in saying that I should work with you because he knew it was beyond his scope for the fitness.
Mhm.
Because really, before I came in, all he was doing was the machines where people are supposed to be doing their own work, like the
Right.
ARX system
Mhm.
or the Vasper system, and those are great. But I guess you wanted a little bit more than that. And so when
Right.
I met you, first thing I thought was like, wow, this young girl she's really fascinating because you were always so curious about how does this work and what does this mean, and and I love when people ask questions because I have a very curious nature. So I thought like this is going to be really fun, and so I got a chance to connect with you, and then like you said, the pandemic happened, so everyone scattered, right? Dr.
Mhm.
Pastor got out of his lease. That means we were out of our sublease, which was, I
Mhm.
mean, it was kind of a silver lining, to be honest with you. We were outgrowing that place pretty quickly.
Right.
And, fast forward to that moment you mentioned, we met up after not seeing each other for a while. And when you opened your mouth in terms of like the fact that you wanted to possibly do a retreat of some sort, I was
Mhm.
like, is she reading my mind? Because like I've been trying to do retreats for such a long time, but the problem that I run up against all the time is space, like
Right.
a proper space that feels good, that looks good, that's not difficult to get to, not too expensive. And when you kind of presented this opportunity, I was like, should we be working together on this? So
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah, no, it all
Yeah.
worked really naturally and perfectly. Um,
Yeah.
and we really met again at the right time because I really was thinking about this project, but I wanted to work with someone who was, amazing. So just
Yeah.
have the best of the best. And the idea of retreats came to me because while I was living in New York, like I said, I wasn't feeling my best, though you and Dr. Passler's office was my sanctuary. I would come and re-energize and couldn't have made it without you both. But
Mm.
I still felt like there was something missing. I even started therapy and really wanted to figure it out. I think that's why I was asking so many questions. I was like, I'm not meant to feel this way. I need to figure it out. I want to feel optimal and have all this energy. I'm young. Um, and then when the pandemic hit, and my family and I came to Turks and Caicos to do the lockdown, I just started to feel so much better. So, um, and I think that the nature helped so much with my healing and the disconnect from the city life and just getting back into my circadian rhythm and reconnecting to the earth and all of that. It just made me feel so much better. And now I want other people to be able to experience that. Um, and also, so because my family has loved Turks and we've been coming down here for 16, 18 years now, they've invested a lot in this island and have built homes. And so that is how I'm able to have this place for us to host people um, and also have the knowledge from being here so long to be able to to guide everyone and show them the best the island has to offer. But I do realize that I don't have so much experience, or as much experience as you, Josh, in the wellness
Mhm.
industry. And so to be able to combine our strengths and make this retreat happen, I think it will be amazing. So yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. The thing I love the most about what you were mentioning there is the fact that you're on this journey. And I feel like we all are on a journey. And you wanted to sort of bring back, I know your mission statement to me was you wanted to sort of bring the the healing aspects of what you experienced. You want to bring that to the world, to more people.
That's
And I think
right.
that's so beautiful. I think it's
Yeah.
it's beautiful, and it's very noble. And I think we're all fortunate. So anyone who gets a chance to experience this, we're all fortunate, myself included, because when I went there that first time, we simply went there to try to do the best we could in terms of getting content and also just getting myself familiarized with the island.
Hmm.
And I had the time of my life. It was well, I think you remember I had so many issues trying just to get there, and I had lost luggage and all sorts of stuff. But once I got there, I experienced something similar to what you experienced, which was there was no more worry. I remember I was
Exactly.
wanting to try to hit the ground running. I wanted to go and meet up with my buddy Oscar Isaac, and his family were there
Hmm.
the same time frame that I was there for a couple of days. We overlapped, and I found myself wanting to go and meet up with him. And I remember showing him the photos and a video of where I was staying at your place,
Hmm.
and he was like, "Bro, you're not coming here. We're going there." Right? Which is a pretty big statement, because he was staying on in a lovely resort. But
Hmm.
resort life there is one life, and
Right.
then you've got everything else, and that's what I got a chance to experience.
Right. Where he was staying was is beautiful but secluded, and you get to experience the resort, but you don't get to really experience the island. And so what I'd love to do and what I did with you is really show the island, so you really get a real sense of what it is to live here and be a local here.
Right.
Um,
Right. Yeah. you know I think something that would be important to discuss is a little bit more about that difference, right? So we know that many people go on vacations. I mean,
mhm,
I should say I was never fortunate enough to be able to go on vacations when I was younger, just because we didn't have the means, and it just wasn't a part of my family. So
mhm,
I've since learned that lots of people do go on vacation, right? And
mhm,
so for those who do go on vacations, we typically know now that it's quite costly. And sometimes we work really hard to get in shape just to go on vacation and then ruin it.
mhm,
And to me, that's never made sense. I've always thought, like, why not live a healthy as you can, and vacation as healthy as you can, and
right.
have fun at the same time. But how about experiencing something that is also healthy for you, that can increase your longevity as opposed to be a detriment to your longevity? And this is what we're trying to build, right?
Right.
And it's not built yet, right?
Right.
And so this is a journey just like everyone else's journey. This is a journey. I called it earlier, I called it, this is our little baby. you
Mhm,
know and we're trying to foster this amazing being into something that is going to sort of run itself at some point. And and I think that part is really important. So maybe we can talk about some of the things that people would be able to do at our retreat that they
mhm,
may not be able to do on other vacations.
right.
What can you identify there?
Well, firstly, this is a really good point. I completely agree with you. Mostly that most people only get a certain amount of days for vacation, um, or they have a certain budget. And so to be able to have a vacation, but also it being something um, that, you know, grows and makes them better, um, it's just a better use of your time and money, personally. So I mean, Turks and Caicos is a luxury destination. It is expensive to uh, come on holiday here. Um, so, uh, and a lot of tourists come and they stay in these beautiful resorts and they do just drink pina coladas at the beach all day and kind of see, their beach and not much else. And that's completely not what experience you will get coming to our retreat. We will have obviously the wellness side, mostly led by Josh, but we will also go visit many beaches. We will have a boat day where we'll go to deserted islands and sandbars and go snorkel the third largest reef in the world. And I'll be able to tell you the name of the fish and the sharks and hopefully bump into some dolphins. We have some local dolphins here in Turks and Caicos that you can swim with. It's like SeaWorld here. And so it will be a completely different experience if you just came down and stayed at a resort for actually probably less cost than if you came down by yourself and have to, book all the tours and eat out every day and book your resorts. And it would actually cost you more than coming on our retreat where you will get so much more value for your money. And really get to experience Turks and Caicos properly.
Great point. And I think it's also important to touch on the fact that I never wanted, and I'm sure you agree with me here, but we never really wanted this to be transactional. We didn't want this to be something that is all about the cost.
No.
While we do know that the cost is a factor, it should turn into one of those things where people go, that's a no-brainer.
Right.
That's a no-brainer. Because again, if you were to go to a resort in Turks and Caicos, and I witnessed it, right? Like just getting water, just getting food every day, it is expensive. And forget about buying clothes and stuff like that there. But when you can sort of forget about all of that and you eat together with us as a community and you live in our facility, and I must say this, you don't have to, we've broken this up, and I think we will present some information like we've done with the email that we sent out. We do have a PDF that kind of breaks down all the costs and things like that, but we wanted to have an option for people to get their own lodging, so their own flight and their own lodging, and they just pay for the retreat experience each day. And then we have another option in which people stay with us at this amazing villa, which is incredible. Like if you go and you watch the video, maybe we can have Gordon link to the video from my Instagram. Yes. But if you see, that's from my iPhone in this amazing villa, and you get an experience of that. And hopefully we get some more content out very soon in which I show some of my workouts on the beach, because we had a boat day, which was incredible. We went on the catamaran, which is called, what is the catamaran called?
So catamaran's called Marie, which is my name and my sister's name. It's our family boat, and it stays right in front of the villa. But we might do a day there, but there's also another sailboat on the other side of the island, which takes you to the sandbars and the reef and loads of deserted beaches. So just so you get to see both sides of the island, because it's not a big island, but as you saw, Josh, because we went all around, it's very different. You drive 30 minutes and you're completely different nature and activities and things. So
exactly, yeah, and I love it because there's options, right? It's like, yes, I'm learning this, right? Because I don't think I even did. I go on the other sailboat you're talking about?
We went on the Adabera.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. You even pulled out the sail and everything. So
that's right. Yeah, I was acting.
You
as
were crew.
I was part of the crew, right? Like,
that's
that
right.
was fun. And also, like, you have your beautiful dog, and like, that's another thing that I thought was really special is that you guys, obviously everyone knows you there. And so every place that we were popping into, it's just like, oh, Marie, and obviously, the dog, Finn.
Yeah. Is Finn I think more people know he's not. He's with my boyfriend on the boat right now. he has
Okay.
a trip. Um, but yeah, it's funny. People know Finn more than me now. They're like, "Oh, you're Finn's mom." Like, yeah, okay.
Right.
So Finn, yeah, he's our. So my boyfriend and I rescued a puppy from another island in Turks and brought him back to Provo when he was only 8 weeks old, and now he's about 8 months old. Um, and we take him everywhere. So my boyfriend's in uh, boat charter business, and so he takes our dog with him every day. He has the best life. um,
And what is the? Sorry to cut you off, but I want to make sure people understand.
mhm.
Um, it's some kind of cake, like something cake
Oh,
dog.
so
What is it called?
yeah, so the local dogs here, they're called pot cakes.
Pot
Um,
cake. Yeah.
Yes, it's because okay, let me see if I can remember this correctly. But um, well, a local food down here is rice, peas and rice, and they'll cook them in these huge pots. And at the bottom, there's the burnt rice. And so they would leave the pot outside, and all the dogs would come and scrape off the rice because it's just hard to clean otherwise. And that's how they got their names. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's sad because there are a lot of strays, but there are a lot of organizations down here that help. And you can even come and walk puppies. Maybe we can organize that if
Oh
that's
yeah.
something that people are interested in. And you can
Yeah.
take them home if you want, or it just helps even to, walk them and wash them and take them to the beach. It's a really sweet thing to do.
Yeah. I remember seeing that because I
Hmm.
was like, there's people that clearly are tourists, and I thought to myself, like, wow, are all these tourists bringing their dogs? And you're like, no, that's most likely they
Yeah,
I guess
the
rent a dog for a
organization.
day or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah, which is
it's
really
sweet.
cool because then you have the option of keeping the dog, right? If you want.
Yeah, and a lot of
Right.
people do. Actually, they all get adopted. Hmm.
Which is cool. And
Yeah,
so just bringing that piece up
yeah,
and the option of doing that is what I love about working with someone who's truly a local now, right?
right.
Your boyfriend's definitely a local, but
Yeah,
you've become a local as well. And
right.
if a person has any idea of like I want to do blah, ask Marie, ask Eric, and we can
Yes.
try to get that organized. And
Well,
I don't know
that's
if it's gonna happen. Hmm.
I was just say because also mostly the first retreat we're planning on making it so small, it can really be curated to whatever our guests want to do, and so we can really get an idea of who our guests are and what they're into, and then we can really curate it to them and have their experience really be like curated to them and be amazing for them. So it
Yeah.
can be a conversation, mostly our first ones. I think that will make them so special. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be possible for the dates that we've set. Which those dates off the top of my head is
6th of
July
July.
6th,
Mm-hmm.
6th of July till the 12th. Is that right?
That's right.
6th to the
6th or
12th.
12th of July.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I don't know if it's possible, but remember we did the glowworms trip?
Mm-hmm.
Do
Yes,
you
we'll have to
know?
check.
Yeah, we'll have to
Um,
check because this maybe you can explain that if you can remember it well enough. But this is something truly special, and I mean, maybe this will be a moment where we also do a future one where we specify that time period. But can you explain what the glowworms thing is?
yes, so this is why nature is so fascinating, right? But
Mm,
these glowworms, I've only seen them in Turks and Caicos. I don't think that they exist anywhere else. But every month, just a few days after the full moon, and it's so precise, um, these glowworms come out and it's about 10 minutes after sunset. So it's so precise. Few days after the full moon and 10 minutes after sunset for about 2, 3 nights. These glowworms come out to reproduce. So it's kind of like a big orgy.
mm. Yeah,
And
a worm orgy.
orgy. But it's beautiful because all these worms glow neon green, and it really looks like the night sky on the water, right? And so you have the
Mm,
stars and these glowing worms around you. And it's just so beautiful. And what I find so beautiful is just how precise it is. I mean, you experienced it when you were down here. But because it's so precise, it only happens once a month. And so I'll have to check if, um, if, I mean, definitely if it happens during that week, then we will have to
we'll go and
take
do
you
it.
and do, yes. Otherwise, we were talking already about maybe setting another date, maybe potentially in October or something, and we could try and see when the new moon is to make sure we can include that. But even if we don't get to see that this first time, there are so many things to do. I don't even know if we'll be able to do everything in that one week the 6 days that
Right.
we have. But yeah, and what's really special about Turk's nature is the water. Uh, that it's very much made of limestone and sand, the whole island. So it's not, it's not jungle or anything, but it's just the most beautiful white sand beaches in the world and this beautiful turquoise water with hundreds of shades of blue and beautiful marine life, very healthy reef. And so that's really what we're going to incorporate in our retreats, really doing a lot of water activities. And water for me is so healing. I find that too,
Mm,
just being around water. The villa where we're going to stay is right on the water. It's all made of glass. And there's the lagoon behind us, there's the ocean in front of us. So we just feel like we're 360 surrounded by water, and we hear the water when we're falling asleep. So it's so calming, so healing, and can't wait for those who come to experience it.
so this is, I think, the perfect time to do a Pomodoro break. And after we
Mhm.
do our Pomodoro break, I want to document in a little bit more detail some of the things that people can expect to experience when they're at the retreat.
Yes.
So before we go there though, let's do a Pomodoro break. What is something that you would do in moments in which you've been sitting for a long time or standing for a long time, or you just feel yourself wanting to move? What is something you would do?
Yeah, if I start getting a bit of brain fog and I realize that I've been sitting too long, I just go and grab my water, first of all, because it probably means I'm a bit dehydrated. And I'll just go for a little walk around my apartment and go and look at the beautiful view. So I will take you
Oh, nice.
on my little walk,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah, take me on the walk. I'm gonna walk around in this boring hotel room while you're there in paradise. Okay.
Okay, so let me show you the view. This is what I stare out and drink my
I'm
water.
pretending like I'm swimming in the water right now.
That's what I'm gonna do as soon as this podcast is over, is jump in the ocean.
Oh,
And actually that
yeah, look at
is,
that view.
yes, I'll show you one more time. But this is the kind of beaches, the kind of water you will be swimming in on our retreat. And if I do
Yes.
have, because I live right on the water, and this is not where the retreat will happen, we have a bigger house where we can host everyone that's also right on the water. But if I do have more time than 5 minutes to just walk around, I just go for an ocean dip, and that always helps me. I mean, I remember 2 days ago I was just feeling in a funk. Let me drink my water because I said that's what I do.
Touche.
Mm. Um, and just one of those days where you just can't shake it off. You're just kind of feeling a bit off, and I went for an ocean dip finally mid-afternoon, and just straight away just felt so much better and then completely changed my day. I was like, why didn't I do that from the start? It just completely
Yeah.
just connecting to nature, just being present, just I don't know, for me it just completely shifted. Like I didn't think anything could help that day. I was like, this is just that kind of day. And honestly, after that I had a great day. So really for me that really, really
Amazing.
helps. Mhm.
Well, that's a great segue into what people can expect from being there, because I do recall when I was there with you, you mentioned that very thing to me. So what you're saying is I can vouch for you in that this is what you do, because you do have access to the beach every day, so you use it as much as possible. And I
Yes.
remember we did it. I think we took a dip almost every single day, if not every
Yeah.
day. And what I would liken that to is this grounding effect. And
Mm-hmm.
so this, like I said, this would be a good little segue to talk about what people may be able to learn and experience
Yes.
while being with us. And one of the first things that I would probably even talk about is grounding.
Mm-hmm.
And grounding is one of those things that I've belabored on this show and on my social media, but it's something that's very, very important because, like you said earlier, it's all about resetting your circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So when you first come, we want to give you an opportunity to get settled, meet everyone, say hi, get yourself, placed into your space, create your environment. Chances are you're not going to be around loads of EMFs. Chances are you're not going to be around loads of light because
Mm-hmm.
we don't believe in light pollution, especially there in nature. Why? When the sun goes down, you're probably going to have candles. We're going to have low lit light. We're going to
We can make
live
a
in.
bonfire.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we're
Mm-hmm.
going to do as best as we can to mimic nature so that we can reset our circadian rhythm, if nothing else, for that full week.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hope is that you go back and you have what we call takeaways. And hopefully those takeaways improve your life, help to optimize your life when you're not in nature, right? When
Mm-hmm.
you're not in the beautiful paradise of Turks and Caicos. So grounding, this is what I think about when you said you went out and you had a dip in the ocean. You can get that same effect just by walking barefoot in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
So most likely we're going to be doing a lot of our workouts on the beach,
Yes.
or we're going to be barefoot most of the time, right? Because there's no
Yes.
point in wearing shoes inside of this amazing place or outside, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll talk about protecting your feet, and we'll even go over some of the most natural sunscreens and things like that. There's a lot of things that I think you and I both can encourage people to understand. And so while we want to make sure everyone has their proper things with them, we're going to have a number of things at your disposal as well, so that you can take these away. Call it a swag bag, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
so most of the teachings that I'll be adding to this is from the book that I co-wrote with Tessa Cash called The Awareness Shift. And this is one of those things that I want everyone to have, or at least get upon leaving, so that you can understand how it is that I think when it comes to health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first pillars over the entire book is quality awareness. So that's going to be one of the first things that we will be talking about, aside from grounding and getting your environment set and things like that. But we want to talk about awareness. Why are you coming in the first place?
Right.
Why do you feel the need to escape? Is it because you want to experience all the teachings that we have? Is it because you just want to have fun and maybe get fit at the same time? Whatever that reason is, we want to know, because we want to help get you there. We want to help
Mm-hmm.
take you to that place. And quality awareness is going to be something that you may not discover until you finish the retreat. But
Mm-hmm.
we want to help you to be aware most of the time. And what do you think is another important piece to that? Because obviously I'll talk about each of the pillars quickly,
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes to awareness, what is something that you feel like you've gained in your awareness and being in Turks and Caicos?
Mm-hmm. Well, firstly, just adding to what I said, sometimes you just have a calling to do something and you don't exactly have to know exactly why, but you just have to say yes and listen to that little voice in your head. And so if you feel called that a retreat like this would be something good for you, then I think go for it. And then you'll understand why while you're with us. Um,
Mm.
but how it changed my awareness. Firstly, when I was living in New York, sometimes I would go months without grounding. I was like, I don't even remember the last time my feet were not in shoes, or like the last time my feet touched the ground. And then when I, you know, would come down here for long weekends and just float in the water and ground myself, it just felt like all this stress and nearly, I don't know, inflammation, everything just like kind of oozed out of my body. I don't know if you've ever felt that. And
Mm,
so just coming back here every time that I start to feel like I needed it, that I needed to reconnect to nature and uh, but how my awareness shifts living, like properly living down here. It's just my values in life have completely shifted. What I think is important, what I value the most. Like now I mean, I live in a bathing suit and I'm barefoot most of the time. I don't care what brands I'm wearing. I mean, I grew up in Monaco where everyone cares what they're wearing and it's fancy and you know and then I was in New York and as well as a place of fashion and everyone's caring what they're wearing and you know who they're going out with and it's a lot of people are social climbers. The values are so different. What job are you working? Are you working the X numbers of hours? And I really, I came down here and I learned what it truly is to just live, right? To just experience living,
right.
and wake up with the sun, um, go for a swim because you want to, go snorkeling because you feel like it. Put do a beach walk, have your feet in the sand, and um, I have local friends. It doesn't, like down here, it really doesn't matter who you are. I think that's why actually a lot of celebrities come down here, just to be able to have that, you know, feel like a normal person for a little bit. Just, I think you feel coming down here that just no one cares about these things. Um, and the most important thing is the nature and the community. And I think that's beautiful. And so that's completely changed my awareness.
That's beautiful. And I think that's when I imagine the person that's watching or listening or both, what I imagine is some people out there might be thinking, yeah, but you're lucky. You get a chance to live there and this and that.
Hmm.
I hear you. Okay. Whoever's listening or watching, I hear you. Here's the thing though. What we want to try to do is allow you to experience all that and then teach you ways to develop that within your home when you go back once you leave.
Right.
And there are ways to do that. In fact, currently as I speak, I've been on the road on tour for over 4 months. And if I am able to still maintain sort of my environment, my circadian rhythm, even though it's a little bit off these days, I'm still able to find a way to make it as best as possible, and that's what we want to do. We're not expecting everyone to want to up and move to Turks and Caicos. Maybe you will, but how can you learn with us, experience with us, and then take that back, and then hopefully you spread that to other people, and then more and more people, and then that's how we build this community.
Hmm.
Not everyone's going to be able to afford to come to the retreat in Turks and Caicos. We understand that, but what happens if we start to make a movement and people start understanding that, wow, these guys are onto something? Then maybe we have a retreat open up near you, right?
Yeah,
Maybe we have
exactly.
a place in the States, because I want to do this all over the world,
Hmm. Yeah, we can
you know?
definitely do it somewhere that's not as expensive. Um, I do think Turks is such a special place and a special place to start this movement, but it doesn't have to end here,
Right.
and only be here. Also, yes, I do live in Turks right now, but I didn't used to. And when I was in New York, I would come back here and re-energize and then bring back that energy back to New York that would last me a long time. And it was really the practices that I did every day. That was the most important part. And so we will, in the retreat, there'll be a lot of, Josh, you will teach us a lot about those practices and what everyone can bring back home with them and keep doing. And I think that's the most important part of the retreat is, yes, you will reconnect to nature, hopefully reconnect to yourself, to others, and in this little community that we're starting to build, but also that you will be able to bring back all the tools to your back home and continue um, to
Right.
improve and use your new skills. So
And that will be literal and figurative tools, right?
right.
So we're going to be leaving you with a bunch of tools that maybe I'm going to help you. Like some of the things, for instance, I plan on bringing to the retreat in terms of tools that people can take with them are things like the rope flow. I may also have the Slack block. I'll have some transcriptions products, so like blue canatine, Trocalm, Just Blue, for people who have been curious about what those things are and what they do and how they can help. I
Mhm,
also hope to have some ketone products because I know a lot of people are curious about ketones, exogenous ketones,
mhm,
and my hope is that I'll be able to have enough space in my luggage to bring quite a bit of that over as well. Maybe I have to just send it over. Um, and I mean, and these are just some of the physical tools. We're going to do so many things. We also will go over the 15 by 5 program that I've developed that will obviously we'll do the first week, but it's a full month program that people can do and again take back with you. That's a figurative take back with you. It's something that we hope to build upon at the retreat, but then
mhm,
allow you to go forth and multiply and continue to get fit. So that's another takeaway. What are the or I guess the next pillar that we can talk about and touch on, and maybe we'll make the rest of these a little quicker.
mhm,
The next pillar is quality rest, which is the sleep and recovery category. And I know you've kind of touched on the fact that when you're in nature, it's a little bit easier to get good quality rest because you're not going to have all of this noise, right? Because this
mhm.
noise and EMFs and extra energy is probably what got to you in the buzz of the city.
Right.
When you come to Turks and Caicos, you get a chance to fully understand what it's like to have quality rest. What can you say about that?
Yes. Well, firstly, I'm sure we will have exercises to unwind at the end of the day. Except, well, we'll have the proper lights and the bonfire, and maybe like some kind of music, some meditation, some breath work. So all of that will
Hmm.
help for sure. Also, the beds are super comfortable. Um, but um, I did have a friend come recently from New York, and she's a medical student. And so she tracks her sleep. She's very interested in all of that too. And her and the app shows her the quality of sleep that she has, and she was averaging about 74% quality, and then she came here and it was like 98% or something. Like it's completely, and
Wow.
she was here only 4 nights. She wanted to stay longer, but she couldn't. I'm sure she'll come back. But she just had the most restful sleep, she said, and she didn't even know how long. And maybe
Wow.
you will come here and sleep for so long. I had another friend come for a week, and then she ended up extending another week because the first week, most of the time, she ended up sleeping so much because she was like, I don't remember last time I got such proper rest. And
Wow.
and so I just think that coming to Turks, your stress levels will just go down, um, and you'll be able to finally properly get that rest that you need. Like, sometimes you're just like, I don't understand why I'm so tired. Like, I slept okay, I slept 8 hours, but just the quality of that sleep wasn't great. And so I think I'm down here, and like you said, not having all this noise pollution and light pollution and stresses and all of this, your body will finally just stop being in fight or flight and just finally just let you get that rest that you really need. That's how I see it.
Exactly.
Um, mhm,
Beautiful. Well said. And that's a great story. So thanks for sharing that because I do think that it's easy for me to, I've been doing this for such a long time and I talk and blabber about sleep quality and circadian rhythms and things like that. But when you have this beautiful testimony, because that's, in a sense, that's a testimony, right?
mhm,
That is something that I think people can relate to. And that's what we hope that everyone achieves. And
right.
maybe you don't get 98%, and maybe, maybe you already sleep at that. But what we do know is that there should be a shift in your perspective.
Mhm.
And then we'll have exercises and drills in which we can help you to reframe things, because even as a health coach, I work with a lot of people outside of fitness. So sometimes, and so far we haven't even talked about fitness yet, right? Because
Right.
that's the last pillar anyway. But and we will be talking a lot about fitness and doing a lot of fitness stuff on the retreat for sure. But I want to paint this picture of, it's more about your awareness, your quality rest, and then the
Mhm.
next piece is the next pillar, which is pillar number 3, is quality consumption. And I know this is a big part of the retreat, because you and I have been talking about, like, I know that there's a big problem in Turks and Caicos with importing, right? There's a lot of, the high costs come because everything has to be imported. And obviously, when you and I first talked and I got there, I'm like, well, why can't we start a regenerative farm? And you're
Mhm.
like, well, there's a family already doing that here, right? And so,
Yes.
and I got a chance to experience that, which I thought was cool. Maybe that's another thing we can do with the group, is take them to see
Mhm.
what it's like to try to, like, rebuild the land and
Yes.
how to actually feed off the land. Yeah.
Yeah, Turks and Caicos is technically a desert if we think about how much rain we have here. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, they're pretty amazing. They're called a sunshine nursery, and they grow many plants and have, some ducks, and they have their own eggs and all of that. Um, and so they've really made something incredible happen. I mean, you went to see, like, you saw how much work it is. Um,
Hmm.
but so it's true we don't have too many local produce, because really, like I was saying, the island is made of sand and limestone. It's why the beaches are so beautiful, why the water is so beautiful, but we don't have too many. We have some local cucumbers and papaya and things, but most of our food, unfortunately, is imported. So but we will try and get as much, local produce, even if it's just the cucumbers, some herbs, the eggs from Sunshine Nursery, um, and we'll have a chef to prepare all the food and make it gluten free and refined sugar free, and make it as organic and healthy as possible. Um, but also, I know, Josh, you wanted to incorporate some community cooking so that people can go back home and be able to also, cook some of the things that they ate at the retreat and be able to keep taking care of themselves back home. Um,
Right.
so
Yeah, it's really fun, because I remember growing up, when I would go to church on the weekends, or we would go to family get-togethers, we would do a thing called potluck. And I don't know what it's called in other parts of the world, but basically everyone brings their own dish, and you bring it all together, and it's called potluck, and everyone eats with all these amazing meals that everyone cooked. And whether you like a certain food or not, knowing that something was prepared with love is what makes that such an incredible experience. And I wanted to try to bring some version of that. Obviously, we can't travel with food to Turks and Caicos. Just don't do that, anybody. Don't bring your own food.
there'll be plenty here for
But
you.
right, exactly. But I do think that it would be really cool to allow people to join in on the process of cooking, and or preparing or helping to clean up, because I think that's the part that makes it more of a community thing. And
Hmm.
so that's what I would call quality consumption.
Right.
Let's forget about if it's vegan or vegetarian or gluten free or anything. We're going to we're going to try to adjust as best we can and accommodate for every person's limitation or situation when it comes to eating. At the same time, we want everyone to join in, because it's going to be better for your health.
Yeah.
That's hands down. That's very esoteric in belief. I do know that, but there is a lot of science behind that. So when we join hands and we sit around a bonfire, or we sit in certain sitting positions, because we're talking about sitting positions, there's going to be so many things that I'm going to be blabbering on about. but I also wanted it to be a moment in which I'm not the only one talking and sharing. I want
Mhm.
everyone to be talking and sharing. I want, if you have questions about the best footwear, if you have questions about the best times to eat, should we be fasting or not, we're going to have all of that available.
Mhm.
So this is like going on tour and having a trainer like what Roger Waters is doing right now. He's hired me to be on tour. Madonna hires me to go on tour with her and to work with her. This is literally going to be like each person that has joined this retreat. It's going to be like you have hired me to come on tour with you,
Right.
and that's what it is, really.
Yeah.
So the first three pillars we've just talked about: quality awareness, number one; quality rest, number two;
Mhm.
quality consumption, number three. The next two are going to be the most fun ones, I think, and that's quality activeness and quality exercise. 4 and 5 are similar. The main difference is I want people to understand that you don't have to necessarily exercise to live a healthy life, but it is important to be active and to move most of the
Right.
time. And so that's an important distinction. And so I want that to be something that we do every single day that we're there. I want to teach you
Mhm.
ways to work out. Do you have to go to a fancy gym? Do you have to have all the best equipment? Do you have to have the best clothing? No. Most of what we're going to be doing, I'm going to be able to enlighten you and crush you
It's
without
true. It's
having to
still
go to a
hard.
gym.
It's,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
it
And
still works.
right. Well, my hope is that we have some of that footage in which I
Mhm.
was. Remember, we were on the beach and people were
Yes.
joining in, and we were doing all the crawling and the
Yeah, we should
climbing
send,
stuff, and
yeah, we should share some of that just so they get an
y-
idea.
yeah,
But it was fun. That's the thing. It was hard, but it was fun. So it just went by quick, and it just showed some people were in their bikini, some people were, and we're all barefoot on the sand, and it still worked. It just shows how little we need to get a good workout and good movement in. So,
right. And together with all of that, because I just went through all 5 pillars. Together with all of that, I'm going to also be available for one-on-ones.
mhm.
So if someone wants to talk with me one-on-one, maybe it's something more private that you would want to speak with someone about. I'm going to be available. I also have available loads of people. Maybe we'll have them call in, but people who run other companies. So instead of maybe doing it as a podcast, maybe we will, but it would be a situation where someone calls in and we have a group discussion. I think that would be really important. And we want to break up the day such that you have the option to join in or not.
Right.
This is nothing that's going to be mandatory, but my hope is that everyone gets something out of this.
Mhm.
And the best way for us to offer that and to be able to carry that out is for you to communicate with us on what you want, what you need, and what's
Exactly.
important to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else that you think is worth mentioning in terms of what we plan to do?
Um, just that this is going to be really fun. This is really going to feel like an amazing holiday with amazing people, hopefully an amazing community. Um, and you'll just get to pick Josh's brain, which I'm excited for. I mean, whenever I get to spend time with you, I'm like, Josh, what is this? Like, I just want to know everything, because
Yeah.
you really live what you say. So you really are a great example of what you do. And so I'm
Thank
just,
you.
yeah, I'm excited to also pick your brain, and have so much fun at the same time. So,
Well, thank you for that. That's very sweet. And likewise, I want people to also, like I mentioned earlier, I want people to also get to know you and ask you questions because you have a lot of experience as well.
mhm.
And it may be, maybe there's more questions about the islands and what to expect and things like that. And I want you to thrive in that. And if imagining Eric will be there too. And, I want people to connect with him, and I want people to connect with Finn, and I want people to make
Yes, they'll both
friends.
be there, and you can ask them all questions about the island and the best places to go, and just the history of the island, and what it's really like to live on an island. Because I
Yeah.
think that's my number one question is like, what is it like? It's such a different world. Like, different way of life. So I can also answer all those questions and more about my experiences and the people I've worked with. That I've learned through my spirituality teacher how to meditate, a lot about prayer. I've read a lot of books about it. So if anybody wants to ask me any questions on that, or maybe I could even lead something, it depends what people are interested in. So but I'm happy to lead them in prayer, meditation, or journaling, or anything that they would be interested in that world. Learn a bit more about my journey and how I healed myself, because I really was, and like now I have all this positive energy. But I wasn't like this a few years ago, and I wish that I could have gone on a retreat like the one we're planning, and that would have saved me so much time to,
Mm.
understand how to get better and what's really important. Um, and so yeah, please ask me any questions as well, or reach out, send me in DMs or an email, or we could even organize calls. I don't mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do plan on doing some sort of live, whether it's like an IG live or YouTube live. I want to do something where people can start to reach out and ask a little bit more. And obviously, we're going to try to put this out as soon as possible so people have time to
Mhm.
consider what their plans are going to be.
Right.
And at the end of this, we're going to let people know the best ways to reach out and keep in touch with
Yes.
us. And we're also going to mention a little discount, a little offer
Yes.
for the listeners of this show. And before we do that, I always ask two questions before we wrap up the show. And I know you've only had but so much time to consider these, so no pressure. But first question is, what are your top two pet peeves right now?
Hmm. Hard. Um, I'd say one of my pet peeves is, if you're at a restaurant and the person you're having dinner with talks down the waiter, or like looks down on the waiter, um, talk to them differently than they talk to you, or even like the crew on my family's boat. If we've invited someone and they, don't treat our crew like they treat us, because we really see our crew as family. That's how, we grew up. We had all our meals with them. They're become part of the family. And so that for me is that big pet peeve, and I cannot understand it.
Hmm.
Completely turns me off. Um, and second one, let's see.
You must not have very much stress if you
No,
can't think of a second one. I mean, that's
a
cool. I
pet
think that's
peeve.
cool.
I'm just trying to think of what annoys you. Honestly, when you're just so relaxed that not much annoys you. I'm
Well,
sure I'll
well,
probably think of one after, but
you did mention driving in Turks and Caicos.
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, the driving is not the best. People don't use their blinkers. People do, we're on an island, so it's kind of, yeah, island driving is it's questionable. So yeah,
Got it.
that definitely annoys me sometimes. Like this is definitely not legal.
Yes.
But
Well,
anyway,
listen. I'm certain there's a few people out there wagging their finger at you too, young lady.
for sure, I'm sure I'm not a perfect driver. That's for sure. I learned
Yeah,
very
but all
late.
good. All good. I trusted your driving when I was with you, so
Good.
it was fine. Okay. Last question, and this is one of my favorites.
Yes.
What is something you're most grateful for?
Hmm. Well, I think top one right now is I'm grateful to be living where I am. Like I know how special it is to have been living in Turks for the past years. That it was such a special place for me, that I healed here. I met my boyfriend here. I'm gonna start my retreat with you here. So this has really been such a special place, and I do feel so lucky to be able to, have come here and for this to be my home. And then obviously I'm grateful for my health, because without health we have nothing. And so that's the number one thing we should invest in. Yeah.
Beautiful. Perfect. Okay, let's wrap up by telling people the best ways to keep in touch, to stay up to date on all things awareness experience retreat.
Yes. Well, I think both of our Instagrams, at Marie Gevers for me, and then
Joshua J. Holland for me.
mhm.
And we'll obviously put that in the show notes and the
Right.
description.
So you can send us any DMs, and we will also be posting maybe some lives, and maybe we could do a Q&A, and
Yeah.
also post the promo. Should we already say what it is?
We what Marie is getting at is that we wanted to offer a discount for sort of early bird people signing up, and we know that we're getting close to crunch time, but it's still enough time for people to jump in sort of sooner rather than later. And so she wanted to offer a discount, which I think is very, very generous. And what is that?
Yes, so for all the listeners and everyone is close to us, we're offering 15% off the retreat and accommodation. And we'll offer that probably for about a week once we post this, right?
Right.
So yeah, I would definitely take advantage of this offer. And we just want to make it because we want as many people to be able to make it. So if that helps you, I would love to have you.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for that. And I think that's really cool because, again, I am just grateful. Speaking of gratitude, I'm grateful to be able to work with you on this, because this will be the first time that we officially did a retreat. I know that the first one when I was there was kind of a mock retreat, so to speak, but this is going to be the first one in which we actually are putting our heads together to come up with some stuff. So yes. I'm really grateful to be working with you on that, because I know how beautiful that place is. I know how special it is. And I want to help bring that together with Marie to all of you. Yes. So that's that. Marie, thanks for your time. For the listeners and followers, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And please feel free to reach out. We want to spread amazing awareness experiences with all of you in the form of a retreat.
Yes.
So
thank you so much, Josh. Peace. Bye, everyone.
Simply walk the talk. Walk the talk, talking facts. Move like me, but I move a little fast. Make my move, here to last. Fasten these seatbelts, I'm coming past. Take care of me, longevity. Hack my biology, better believe. Walking the talk, soul, mind, and body connected. Better come give us a listen.